The 2023 Hopkinton Annual Town Meeting took place on May 1st and May 2nd this year. On night one, the DPW articles were moved to the front of the agenda to accommodate DPW Director John Westerling. All 7 articles would pass after a bit of debate about Lake Maspinock dam repairs.
Of anything to acquire, gift, purchase, or take by eminent domain, although we gave permission for them to use the property to repair the dam.
Your rights haven't changed. All town meeting is doing, we have to do by statute whenever we acquire an interest by land as the town, is to get an authorization from town meeting to negotiate the terms with you. So town staff still would have to negotiate the terms of the gift agreement or the terms of the easement. We can't come onto your property until you agree to that.
Article 5, the 2024 town budget of $113,277,232 passed with little debate.
On the expense side, Hopkinton's outstanding public schools are by far the largest slice of the spending picture. In addition to the direct segments shown for education, the majority of amounts for benefits and insurance and debt payments directly support education.
Article 17 called for the redesign of the second fire station in Woodville and passed a standing vote by an overwhelming majority after a bit of debate.
The article provides $70,000 to support architectural and engineering design for a new second fire station in the Woodville neighborhood. If successful, there will be additional costs proposed for actual construction in future years. The funding would be obtained through general obligation borrowing, also requiring citizen vote allowing principal and interest to be excluded from the taxation limits imposed by Proposition 2.5.
Perhaps the most controversial article of night one was Article 19, Hopkins School Edition.
Has anyone looked at just keeping Elmwood School open for, we're going to build a kind of a replacement. Why not keep that building? It's got a lot of students in it.
What we are looking at is that really is a end-of-life replacement. So while you can house students, you can't house them for the true academic needs. When we looked at the district-wide study, which does look at all schools, one of the things that was passed on to the Permanent Building Committee as they're looking at the Elmwood School in the future is the potential of moving the preschool program over to the Elmwood School, because the Marathon School will also be projected to need more space. So one of the things that we would need to do or look at, which will require further study, is what if we relocated the preschool over to the Elmwood School.
The article calling for $3 million for the project passed a standing vote, 275 to 65. Night 2 was a bit more controversial. The night started off with Article 26, which called for parking spaces for electric vehicles.
I'm just curious, at 5 parking spaces, you start needing to have handicap spaces. So that brings you down to 4 usable spaces, non-handicap. This would affect someone with 5 spaces and possibly bring them down to 3, especially with the ADA requirements for the extra space. So I'm just wondering, have you considered that? Was that part of the discussion? What came out of it?
Yeah, Gary Trundle from the Planning Board. I don't think there's a perfect number solution here. There's a reason that we exempt parking lots that are less than 5 for those reasons, because it's just not feasible. Again, these are EV ready is an option. There are other ways to meet this requirement besides mandatory EV spots. And certainly if this were to be a problem, then it is possible that non-EV cars could park in that spot depending on the landowner's policy and standards.
The article passed the 2/3 majority. Article 28 called for a zoning district change of 2 West Elm Street and 0 West Elm Street.
The church is closing and the property will go up for sale. Under residential B zoning, the best use is to build houses on this property. It is not an ideal residential location given the proximity to the heavy traffic and lights on West Main.
I think based on what we did yesterday to try to increase affordable housing, this might be an opportunity for a creative and community-minded developer to put some housing in there that would help us provide affordable housing and maintain the character and the safety and the wishes of the residential community.
The article would fail. Article 29 called for a zoning district change of South Street and Hayward Street. Town meeting voted to go against the recommended no action and vote on the article.
And echo out and have a chance to be able to make change in this great community. And I think that change is what we're asking for, is to be consulted and to be able to stand before our peers and be able to effectively weigh in how we want to see this, land rezoned. But effectively, with 40% of all commercial property not occupied along Hayward and South, I think we're all unanimously in agreement that this article should not pass. And absent the visual aids that we labored over, which will now live in myth and memory, we thank you for your consideration.
The article would fail. Article 32, which called for more strict leash laws for dogs, raised controversy.
It's going to be a similar area. What is a similar area? I mean, that could be the beach. It could be, what are we talking here? Similar area. I mean, that kind of opens up a pretty wide open area.
The article would fail with 208 voting no and 185 voting yes. Article 33, which called for regulating short-term rentals of residential property, raised a lot of controversy.
Someone's right to make this house an Airbnb affected my neighborhood and my life. I don't think that someone's ability to make their house an Airbnb and charge someone to stay there gives you the right to upset my quality of life and everyone else on the street.
I feel this is very intrusive. I can see myself helping a friend who's stuck between, one house or another house or one rental, another rental, needing a place to stay, even my son, and I would have to get a license for a couple of weeks to rent out a room in my home. I feel this is extremely intrusive.
The article would fail the required majority vote. Article 34 was a citizen petition to regulate outdoor shooting at gun clubs in town.
Sitting outside to drink your coffee or going for a walk on a nice day is impossible to enjoy. Noise pollution is detrimental for people's mental and physical health, besides harming the environment. People cannot rest properly with this kind of noise invasion. Think about our young children, animals, and birds.
There has been case law, 2013, Northborough, Wayland, and Braintree were in the same situation, same predicament. Wayland and Braintree withheld their decision until the Northborough town meeting happened. Northborough voted to go forward with that. The Attorney General overturned that based on the fact that we are exempt as an active shooting range. We are exempt per Mass General Law 274, Section 7B from the noise ordinances. So I will say to the townspeople, even if we vote for this to be approved, it's going to be overturned at the state Attorney General level.
The article failed the majority. To wrap up the annual town meeting, Article 47, which eliminated the Upper Charles Trail Committee and established a subcommittee, had a lot of feedback.
Before they had received the grant application, there was another meeting, again, overwhelming opposition. They proceeded to accept the grant and are now spending it. This is a waste, I'm afraid, of taxpayer money that would only lead to a route that the public does not want.
The article would eventually pass a standing vote, 158 to 61. You can read a full summary of the 2023 Hopkinton Annual Town Meeting at our website, hcam.tv.